The endless passage of time will come for us all. I've been in a weird introspective mood, chat. Hello, chat. Today, it's going to be an interesting day. As I've teased multiple times throughout the entire week, today is the weird day. I don't know how to explain the weird day. It's just a day where it's like I just find a bunch of things that I just kind of like stockpile that I'm like, I don't have a real way of like fitting these in anywhere else that I really want to play. And then I decide, okay, well, we're gonna play these in like one like day, because like some of these things are like, it seems like some of these things only last for 1 to 2 hours. I mean, also a lot of these things have like strange backstories of how I find them. It's just like being chronically on the line is one reason, but in general, just like the fact that like sometimes you get like an ad somewhere that like tells you about the existence of some weird thing, and it makes you go down this like giant rabbit hole of what is that? That's basically what fuels today's like playlist, right? So today we're gonna be going through a fair number of things. I've been in a very strange introspective mood because I'm going to be 29 extremely soon, so I'm basically almost 30. As Chad has mentioned, I'm waiting for my second puberty to hit my voice puberty. I don't even know if that's real, but it is funny to think about because again, my first puberty hit me in like middle school during summer break. So when I came back to school, I was like, yo guys, what's up? I just sounded like, imagine a kid like me, sounding like this the entire time. So it's just funny to like think about, like, it can go even lower. It won't, but it can. But yeah, it's been interesting thinking about like how much time has like passed, like just like going through all this stuff about like life and just thinking about like, oh, like how many games are out there that I used to enjoy that like now it's like they're seen as like old. There's been a lot of like different commenters sort of sharing that too. It's sort of like sharing their experiences on YouTube. Sort of going over like, okay, like, you know, what their experiences are like trying to find certain games and like stuff like that, or what the experiences are like going for certain titles and like stuff. And it's fascinating to sort of see like how much of it is like a shared mind state almost. It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. It's also fascinating to see how many people really go to social media for like I don't know what it is, either entertainment or like knowledge. I can't really tell. It's fascinating. It's interesting that like somebody's first inclination when they hear about something is they search up like a video for it, or the first inclination when they hear about some like, you know, some like thing is to go on TikTok and find like a TikTok for it. And I'm like, why? I don't really know why, but it's interesting to sort of see that mindset. And it further drives in that there's a huge generational divide, right, between like who I am and who people usually are. It's strange, but also it's not really a generational thing. It's just kind of like have I kept up with the times and the changing tides? And thinking about it, right, even I've like gone and just listened to like podcasts for like directly from like people who are considered experts in like certain ways, right? Like there's this one neuroscience guy who like I don't even know if like half the stuff he like says is like, you know, founded in like some science, because I know there was some topics that he wasn't an expert on, but he tried to talk about it in like at like a level where he was, apparently, at least from criticism from other experts. So I mean, the problem is like how do you like determine like who is an expert? But something Huberman, the Huberman podcast. Huberman Lab. See, that's why I never remember his like name, because his name is one of those classic first name last name is a first name names. Andrew David Huberman. Why does he have 2 first names? It's funny because every neuroscientist that I know is a bit quirky. It's actually very, very funny. I actually know I personally know a neuroscientist who is one of my best buddies from growing up. He's really into aliens. Like he genuinely believes in chemtrails and aliens. And I've noticed that, especially within this cohort of like neuroscientist friends who I've met, they all have some strange quirk about them. And I've realized it's because when you're in neuroscience and you need to learn about the mind, like you can't help but be quirky, because now you know all the inner workings of yourself, and like for you it's like explainable. You know what I mean? At least maybe that's why. I don't know. But yeah, it's just interesting getting older. It's interesting like going through like time. It's strange. You get like a sense of nostalgia as well as like a tinge of like a tinge of like uncertainty and regret. And mind you, it's interesting, especially for me, because I'm doing this as like a hobby, right? Just sort of in the meantime, while I still have while I still have time, which sounds weird. It sounds like I'm dying, but I'm not dying. It's just like something that I'm doing as like a fun thing on the side, right? As just a, get some of my creative juices out, so I don't feel as bored. Because honestly, without this, I would be doom scrolling, but like the equivalent of that, but in Balatro. So it's good that I have some outlet for like what I want to do. USD, sorry. Give me. Oh god, still sick. But even doing this, right? It's like you realize eventually that you still have to go back to reality at some point. But it's like fun to sort of like escape for a while. I mean, I've been in reality. I've showed you guys what I do for like work. Sometimes, like, especially like because it's like on and off contractual, I get enough and it works, and then I just stop doing it for like a while. And it's like fine. Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting experience. Sort of like looking at this and realizing that I want to do this more, and trying to figure out like how the hell do you even monetize something like this, right? Because that's the most interesting part, is how do you monetize something like this that is inherently very, very difficult to monetize. It's fascinating because I wonder if there's ever even like a possibility that we could ever get there, chat, right? Because it takes a lot. It takes a surprising amount to even be able to monetize any of these platforms. I'm reminded actually of many people who sort of have like done a deep dive on like what it takes to monetize these platforms, and like, it's very good because I like the way that they say it, because the reality of it will always creep up on you, and so you have to look at it in terms of like raw statistics, and purely statistically. Again, I'm in the top like 10% of Twitch viewers because I have a decent like fan base who like comes to the back, and I appreciate all of you. But it's fascinating to sort of see that stuff, right? Obviously, because I'm getting older, at some point this may have to go to the wayside as I worry about other things. But I'm hoping to do this as like a hobby for as long as I can, because it is fun, at least, and it doesn't really take too much time out of my like day. I say that as a person who streams for like 8 hours, but what I do for work, I mean, I get done in like 3. Yeah, like honest to God, even when I was in a more like consistent office setting where like you have to do things within an office, I was already clocked out after like 3 or 4 hours, because it was like there's nothing else to do. So it's like you just kind of sit around, you go hang out with your buddies, from like work at the pub. The pub was a frequent everyday work thing, I'm telling you right now. Really, really good. And we had a pub that made a pretty mean Yorkshire pudding, apparently. At least our British friend said it was decent. So, but he also said it wasn't the best, but he said it was decent. So, but yeah, it's just been on my mind about getting older. But in particular because of this one clip. I'm gonna show you. It's not like a clip about someone getting old. It's a clip about Starcraft. Okay, so it's the Starcraft custom map thing. Other people have actually chimed in on their experiences trying to find custom maps, EUD maps for Starcraft. Thank you. If you have any experience in that field and you have any recommendations, for any custom maps, please let me know. I'm always down to like try to find something that's like really fun to like try, and it's just hard to find because if you go on Starcraft Brood Warriors like online multiplayer, if you're in US West, everybody in US West, for some reason, everyone in like Canada specifically, are like sweatlords. Like they play to be the top Brood War player. Everyone in America plays custom games. I don't know how this, like, why it works like that, but it does. But this clip in particular made me go, damn. Like, because I remember seeing this as like, I want to say like a kid, and I was like, yo, the high level of this game is sick. And you think about it, and it's like, wait, this is at least like, this is almost like a decade ago now, which is crazy to think about again. So just here, turn down the music, pop this open. I just want to show you this. Not cellular functions of spermatogonal. This is Bisu Vesak PVT. I don't know if that's his like name. No, sorry. PVT is Protoss vs Terran. Back in 2017, okay? Which, again, it's almost a decade ago now, which is absurd to think about. That's actually nuts. It's crazy that we're in 2024 and it's almost a decade ago, okay? And I just wanted to show you this clip because this clip is insane. Somebody in the comments pointed this out, so I didn't even notice this, okay? So in the game, you need to control your units one by one to do certain things. And he has to deal with these things called spider mines. Usually spider mines will demolish a single dragoon. So these orange dudes are dragoons.
The dragoons actually dance on top of each other there for a
and
moment, but he's still gonna pick up.
classic casting by Tastosis, which is, you know, just a interesting duo of like casters
Aware of this,
for RTSs.
give you different attack speeds
And usually dragoons are kind of bad, at least compared to most of the ranged units. They're kind of bad. Protoss only gets access to ranged units as their second unit. Terran gets it as like first, and theirs is very, very cheap. Zerg gets it as second as well, but Hydra, I find, tend to be a lot more useful because they attack faster, they move a lot faster, and they're a lot more versatile in like the use cases. So a lot of people don't really like dragoons, but Bisu is really known in particular for his knowledge of like micro and using dragoons.
And
I just want you to like look at how he utilizes them. Okay, look, these spider mines that these cars will like drop, those things, that thing right there, that tiny little red circle thing. Okay, one of those can like two of those I think can one shot a single dragoon, and if you have a group of them, they'll just die. The problem is that they're invisible, so you need something that can reveal invisible units. Now, which you only get until you at the very, very late game of like the Protoss cycle, or you need to walk up and try to shoot them fast enough. The problem is that again, dragoons are very slow. They shoot very slow. Their projectile flies very, very slow, and it's usually basically impossible to do so because these things move at the speed of light. So just watch how fast it like moves. Hello.
Look at this, Mike.
What emote is that? What emote is that? What's that? Shaking face. That's the one emote that I can't see, and I don't know why. It's you keep using it, and I can't see it. But welcome. I'm here to show you guys micro. But in his prime, I mean, Bisu is still a crazy monster. The guy on the right, he perfectly plays to counter all of the little spider mines. So he moves these guys perfectly. He takes a step forward.
Look at this micro.
Takes a step back, shoots it immediately, and it doesn't even have like time to land. But look at how fast these things move. Instantly. Okay? And during this entire sequence, all right? Take a look here. I'll play it at 25%, at 50% speed, okay? Look here. Look carefully here.
Look at this micro.
While he's doing this, sending commands down.
Oh my god! He's just doing it.
Look, while he's sending commands down to tell these things to like do this, look this. The minimap is telling him that something in his base has finished building, okay? It's a building called the robotics facility, which he started a moment ago, which he's just selected now on this frame. And he needs to build a unit that's going to help him break through this like defensive line. He instantly builds it. Look at that. I'm playing at half speed. You don't even notice it. I'm playing it at half speed. So if you go through frame by frame, okay? Because YouTube, I think, has a way to go through frame by frame. Here we go. Look at that. In between him doing this very complicated maneuver, which I think this was like the first time that somebody tried this on like a pro stage, I think. There's a couple of moments where like there's some pro moves that like would like never happen normally, where because it's like a lot of Starcraft players are like the pioneers of their moves, and some of the moves are more complicated than others. I think this is probably one of the first times. But in between doing this really complicated move where you need to move your units perfectly at the right time and shoot at the right time, otherwise they'll like die instantly. In between all of this, he spends like literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames. 6 frames of input. 6 frames of time. Okay? Every frame in the video at this FPS, which I think is like... Sorry, it's still in half speed, so I can't really tell. I think this video is in like maybe 30 FPS. So, I don't know, how much is like... how long is a frame? 30 FPS. 33 milliseconds times 6. 33 ms times 6. He did that in 0.2 seconds. While he was commanding these dragoons to like kill that thing, in 0.2 seconds, He saw that his base stuff was done, flips back to his base, builds the thing, and then continues to go on the offensive. He actually went on to win this match with this one unit. I can't believe that he won with just this one unit. Look, everything that he did, he just kept on going. Like, he just... The other guy, this guy is actually really good too. Like, Sak is insane, okay? You have to realize this is like... It's like basically... Imagine like this is like two of the best players in the world. Like, and it's like the best players in the world at this game are like a handful, right? But he's like... He's on the same court as Michael Jordan. But this is like the Michael Jordan, right? It's kind of like how that like whole meme of like basketball players, they'll like say like, well, people talk bad about me, but I'm closer to Michael Jordan than the commentators are to me, right? And it's like, damn, like it's true though. But even through that, even with such a major advantage, even though he had all of that, and all Bisu did was like build, literally all he built was he only ever had 5 dragoons at any time, because each one costs like 150 minerals, I think. Like they're really expensive units, and you only get so much like cash, right? He somehow won this like match in a professional match, and there's so many different like matches out there. Surprisingly, Starcraft, I was going into a more deep dive of the pro scene because I thought the game was like dead. It's still a very active game, and apparently doing Starcraft Remastered in Korea, so it's weird. The Korean pro scene is different from any other pro scene out there for any game. In Korea, esports is a major deal, right? Southeast Asia as well, and like now in like China as well. So like basically East Asia and like Southeast Asia. Japan, surprisingly, is like only really limited to like playing mostly fighting games, and also mostly I forget. There's a certain genre of game that is not like strictly RPG, but it's also kind of where it's like also competitive. I forget what it's called, but in general, esports within East Asia and then C is like really huge, right? But South Korea, I think, takes it to the very next level. So they have their own pro league and their own pro league association. They are so dedicated to esports that they have their own government arm based around esports. That government arm is also why there was an esports sort of like a segment within the Asian Games for like a long time, which is like a Asian Olympics basically, and then China sort of like boosted that further with all the money coming from League. And it's so fascinating to see, and it's interesting because StarCraft was one of the first ones that had their own separate pro league. Because Blizzard at the time didn't care about the pro league. Only when the Korean one started making money did Blizzard try to step in, and they were like, hey, like, please, we'd like to take some of this money too. And then Korea, like, as a whole, was just like, no, like, we don't actually want you to like be here. So not just these sports, but also like I think the government had to step in at some point to basically be like, you can't do this. Like, this is just not like feasible, and we're gonna come to some compromise that doesn't allow you ownership over what we do. And it's fascinating. It's a very fascinating and a deep topic. It's why you see StarCraft Brood War is still popular, and it's why you see so many pros from that region sort of like crop up, and why esports is such a major deal there. If I was born as a South Korean person, I would have probably gone into esports. This is one thing about getting older, is that you realize that you're not suited to certain types of things in like life. One thing that I'm happy for is that I've had the opportunity to like try everything that I wanted to like do, mostly everything, and I realized that a lot of the things that I want to like do, there's a particular style of it that I want to do, and every other style is like awful. I've been thinking about this more, but it's really hard to live an honest, hardworking, a well-meaning life where you earn like a decent chunk of change to help pay your bills. It's very hard, right? And for me at least, I think you can kind of tell I'm a very non-traditional person when it comes to like the way that I handle life, and the way that my preferences kind of like lie, and the way that my brain kind of works. Like, I think I'm almost always better off going to almost always be better off doing my own thing and deciding my own schedule for like things. So, but yeah, just sort of like going down that route of esports was like one thing that I really fancied. And like it's strange how like there's basically no esports scene in Canada, right? It's basically dead. There was for a moment for some period of time, but then everybody started to realize, well, there's no money here. It's just better to go to like LA, or better to go to South Korea to like play. And so it's like if it wasn't for like that, then it's like programming and it's like all these like non-traditional things and non-traditional ways. It's fascinating to sort of see where I've come so far. It's also interesting to sort of see where the streaming has like gone so far. Again, this is not like a weird lead up to me saying like I'm gonna retire streaming or something. It's just me sort of like being very introspective lately about life. I will, however, again, as I said, I think during the new year, it was like I am gonna be trying to take this thing seriously until at least the end of the year, just to see. And it's been working out slowly but surely. It's been working out. I don't really know how it's been working out, but we'll get there eventually. Now I'm not gonna be talking the entire time. I still can't see the shaking face emoji, so if any of you ever use it, I'll like never know. I have to copy it into Google, and then Google says shaking face emoji, but I can't see the face. I don't know why. Maybe Canadian English it doesn't have it. I don't know. But we're not just talking, as always. We're gonna be doing some interesting things today. So today is a weird day with a bunch of weird games. Thank you for joining me on that small rant about me being old. It's very interesting being older. Again, I'm going to be 29 soon. I don't really know what to expect, but I think I'm not prepared, but I think I'm prepared at least in the sense that like at least I've lived enough life to know what I like and what I don't like. Shocking. Shocking. Can you imagine? I'm almost the same age as Jerma when he started to get big. So I'm hoping that I get some of Jerma's success. I'm hoping to channel my inner Jerma to get success. Because he's now 40 something. You know Jerma's like old? He's like 40. Today we're playing some weird games, but before we do that, there's a song I want to show you all. That's like a very nice song. Again, my Spotify playlist has been looping backwards, so it's been looping from the front again. So it's been nice to sort of rediscover music that I used to listen to. And this is a very nice song, but also just potentially a very sad song. I'm not really sure. The song has some interesting origins and sort of where it's from. It's by a band that is very interesting. It's the name is Thai, but they're not really a Thai band. I don't really understand what they do, and I don't even understand their musical influences. But when you listen to it, it sounds like one of the best smoothies you ever tasted from a blender. This is a Krangbin, Krangbin, White Gloves, BRB as I set things up. This might be a two-song segment because the game that we're playing today has a queue, and it's very important that we get through this queue. But we'll see how that goes. Again, that was a song called White Gloves by a band called Kwangbin. Don't really know how to explain their style. There's something about their style that feels very ephemeral almost, but it isn't really ephemeral. It's fascinating. It's not ephemeral in like the way that like some lo-fi hip hop songs are. It's like there's a specific vibe to it that feels like a combination of like a bunch of other styles of like music that I've heard before. But again, I have no words to explain like what this result is, right? Apparently, that's also kind of like the thesis of like why, like how they design their music. The music takes a lot of inspiration from different kinds of music, and it really shows in like the stuff that they make and and the stuff that they do. And it's fascinating to sort of see them sort of like compose their songs in a way that it sets you into a particular mood. It's like very, very moody music. It's fascinating. It's very moody music using very non-traditionally moody things, right? A lot of the instruments that they use, like, well, aside from obviously the guitar riffs, the mood that it puts you in usually is much more hyper, or like bombastic usually. But even hearing those, like, you know, those like drums that you play on your hands, like you can hear it in the background. They're like da 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 da. The ones where you use your like thumb to like slap it. It's fascinating to sort of see how they make use of it to sort of like put you into this like space almost. It's everything. The music production is like very, very astoundingly good. The name of the band means airplane in Thai. Apparently they chose it because it sounded cool, and apparently their Wikipedia page said that I think the guitarist, they were like, hey, yeah, if we knew that we would be so well known, we'd probably choose a much more easier to pronounce name. But that's the thing. Sometimes you get famous and sometimes you don't. And so, you know, as long as you enjoy what you do, then it's good. But that was a good intro segment to a thing. And actually, we don't have to play a second song, so I can get right into today's weird segment, okay? This is going to be interesting, but there's a reason why it took some time to load, and I'll explain in just a moment. Sorry, I'm trying to find the song. If you know me, you know I love Daniel Caesar, and you know that I love everything that he does. He's actually a Toronto native. A Toronto native. Born and raised in Toronto. Yeah, and his music is fantastic. And the writing is stellar. The way that he writes the music and the way that the music flows, it doesn't have that telltale issue where songs have like very obvious repeating parts. It's the songs are allowed to have complexity, and the songs are allowed to break apart into different into different types of like genres, even types of like different types of like, you know, paces all throughout. He does a very good job, and the people that produce his Freudian album are fantastic. But I want to show you one of his songs, which I really enjoy, which is a part of a larger story of his, which I played the first song before, which was "Please Don't Lean." Right, I think I played it a long time ago on my stream. This is the first half of that song, called "Are You Okay?" Again, this is Daniel Caesar's "Are You Okay?" BRB chat. Oops, I meant to pin that. Sorry, let me just pin that. Okay. Pinned. BRB.
Same song, by the way. What'd I say? His music breaks a lot of conventions. I love it. So good. Again, remember what I said? His music doesn't really follow certain conventions, right? You see this convention a lot in the songs that Spotify pushes to you. It's a very algorithmic type of pop song. In fact, a lot of pop songs are very algorithmic. There was an Asian artist who was accused of stealing songs. I forget his name now, but he's a very famous, well-known Asian artist. Something Zhao, I can't remember. But he said like, no, actually I made a song that has those exact same notes back in 1980. And what he said was, actually pop songs in general are just very repetitive. And if you don't want to hear it from like that source for whatever reason, like many people, I mean, even music classes teach you that like pop songs they're built around a certain level of repetition and a certain scale. There's a very particular scale that is used almost always in this particular key that allows you to feel the same way throughout every single song. It's why so many pop songs sound similar, because it's structured the same way. But songs like this that break that structure apart, that say, well, I don't really want that, that within the same song switch to an entirely different mood, an entirely different like sound staging, that tell an entirely different story, and also build up into like building from the same story pieces that the previous lyrics were like building from, but then changing the entire tone of it. It's fascinating. Oops. And it's not just like, you know, the like tone of the song, because if you listen to the lyrics, right, listen to the way he like sings, are you, it's like very, 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 very nice, very angelic. And then this, very much more labored, as if he's like really feeling it, as if he's going through something. You really feel that sort of progression into like that level of pain in his like voice, that level of like, you know, of like that level of like roughness, that sense of like, okay, he's trying to work through something here, and he's really speaking from the bottom of his heart, and he's letting himself loose, he's letting himself raw, he's letting himself out raw. That level of composition is very interesting to see, right? And again, I've been reading more about his philosophy of music as well, because it's just a problem that I have. But when I'm writing my own songs, I almost wonder, is this too cringy to write about this? I know it's stupid. Even hearing myself say it, I'm like, it's like consciously, right? Consciously, I think that's stupid to think about, because songs are whatever you want to make of it, right? They were stupid songs. They were very meaningful songs. It's whatever you want to make of it. And if I think that this has meaning to me, then it should be fine. But it's just a thought that I had, because I was worried. You know what I mean? I'm like, I was self-conscious. And I read up on his thing, and you know, his philosophy is very interesting, right? It's about unrequited love, about lots of different topics, about philosophy, about religion, about, you know, love of the self and love of others, and trying to find one like self. It's about the trials of like life. And religion played a huge part in his songwriting. And apparently one of the interviews that he like gave, which I read the source of, it's very fascinating. He mentioned how when growing up, like being in like church and stuff, it was more about focused on the contents of your words, and you were supposed to keep yourself very quiet, very hidden. You were supposed to let what you do speak for itself. And so it's like, wow, like that's very interesting. Like it's very nice. He's also my age. He's 28. He's born the exact same year as me. So I'm like, damn. Maybe I shouldn't have been a programmer. Maybe I should have done like this. But either way, fantastic music. I really enjoy his stuff. I'm struggling to feel confident in my songwriting, and so to sort of read other people's opinions on songwriting and what they do with it and how they get into the mindset of the stuff is very fascinating. I always love like diving deep in these songs, and even finding songs that just break the mold, just to get inspiration and just to understand, like, okay, like how, like does that actually work? And then you have to catch yourself, right? This is the thing. You need to catch yourself when you ask that question. And you need to say, it doesn't matter if it works or not. What matters is that you make it for you, and that you enjoy it on some level. Just a little segment that I like to do in every stream is to deep dive into music that I enjoy, and why I enjoy it, and why I find it fascinating, and why I hope to be able to do that someday myself. And I try, but again, I feel very cringy when I write about some of the things that I do write about. Not because it's like necessarily cringy, it's weird. So like writing in general has been always like an outlet for me to be able to express myself fully. In like you have like the happy moments on stream, right? But there's also like the moments of like life that I use writing and music to sort of get out there. I have a bunch of demos. I've literally have like dozens of like demos on my phone, on my computer, of like small little songs that I just like mix together, that I'm not, you know, I'm trying something with now. But it's interesting to sort of see like, okay, well, I feel it's cringy for me because I never really show that side of myself except to my wife, obviously. And if you don't show yourself that side of yourself to your partner, I think you're setting that relationship up for failure. You need to be able to, it's as scary as it is, you need to be brave to show your weaknesses to your partner, because only then will you actually be able to connect and like grow, right? Not that you need to be weak to like grow, but in the sense of like they're your partner for a reason, right? But aside from her, I haven't shown any of this to anyone else. So it's gonna be interesting to see when I do release the first one ever. It's gonna be curious to see how it like goes. It's gonna be very curious. But yeah, that's it for the music segment. We're moving on to our next game today. This one is extremely weird, and I have something new. I'll tell you how I found this one when we started. Give me a moment to set it up. And thank you for allowing me to do these music segments. It's fun. It's actually a fun part of the streams. Again, Twitch VOD viewers, you won't be able to actually hear the music. It's why I tell you the name of the song. But if you want to see these segments, you gotta come live. Sorry. It's DMCA. It's a landmine. Give me 1 second to set up the next game. Interior Worlds.